Welcome to The Ancient Way. I'm James.
I'm Marlia. More dead silence.
Yeah, dead silence. There was a lot of dead silence in that last episode, and I did trim a lot of it out. There was a lot.
I know. I told you it would be.
Yeah.
Leaning into the midst of it.
It didn't make the episode, the dead time in that particular instance didn't make the episode better.
No, it made it long.
Made it way longer than it should have been.
That's funny.
Well, I guess, I know we talked a little bit. Maybe the theme. Do you want to start with that question that Daniel asked on Sunday?
Yeah. I think the reason I want to go into that, because I was thinking about it, I think it's cool because the Lord had told me this very specific question like a couple of weeks ago. And then Daniel at church posed the exact same question.
Yeah.
And you could tell it was just off his cuff too, because he was like, oh, I feel that hitting. You know, he said that phrase.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, dude, the Lord's already been talking about it. You're just behind.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. That's a joke. But
tag him in this episode.
For real. You're behind.
Take some shots at him.
No, I'm totally kidding. No, but it was such a good question. And I'll kind of go through. I wanted to share just my experience and what the Lord had been showing me.
Yeah.
But he started taking me through all the prophets of the Old Testament and what their life was embodying and how their life was actually lived. Like they actually had to live the message, right? So whether that was Ezekiel having to like lay on his side, you know, his right side for a number of days or his left side for a number of days. And like, for this will be a sign. Anyways, but their body, everything that they lived was a sign. It was an example of the message that the Lord was wanting to release over the house.
Yeah.
And so I started hearing the Lord kind of prep me, and he started sharing with me about what my life message was.
Yeah.
And but that was the question he asked me. He said, "What is your life message?" He was like, "What are you constantly portraying?" And I kind of dove into it. And the thing that I saw, I started going into this. Was what about the nature of God inspired me so much?
Yeah.
And I can remember this very specific song is where it felt like something unlocked within me. It's this old song by Kim Walker. She made it in 2008. It's when I was first coming like really into the spirit of things. And it's the spontaneous. I'd never heard somebody sing spontaneous before. She was singing in tongues.
Yeah.
There was something that felt like somebody just unlocked my innermost being.
Yeah.
And she said, oh, I don't have to fear anything because your love makes it worth it all.
Yeah.
And she just sings that kind of over and over and over. But then she says, oh, behold his love. And when she said, oh, behold his love, I felt like fire went through my body. And this was back in 2008. And there's like an electric charge that came over me. And I remember it. Like I can tell you exactly where I was sitting and give you the details of the rug I was sitting on. Like it was so profound for me. But when the Lord asked me that and I started to think about it, I went back into that memory. And I realized like that is my message.
Yeah.
Is behold the love of the Lord. Behold his love. Look upon his love.
Yeah.
Like his full acceptance, his value, his delight. And then as I was going into that, I was like, it's the passion of God. Like I want people to behold his love through passion, through full exhilaration, without any fear, without fear of man, without any single stronghold from the past holding them back. I want them to run in freedom. I want them to have deliverance. I want them to see that they're known and be known.
Yeah.
Not just by God, but by other people. And like I have this passion for rich, intimate relationships and where people constantly feel like, oh, they understand me.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm really connected. Oh, God really sees me. I'm really connected. Like that whole thing. But then it was so sweet because the Lord, after this whole deal of like, what is your message? He said, have you infiltrated this in every area of your life? So then I got to go into every sphere of my life.
Yeah.
And I can see where there's like, oh, I really live this out in like a good chunk of my life.
Yeah.
But then there's certain places that I feel like my passion gets zapped. It's like it feels more like energy sucking.
Yeah.
And then I got to address why.
Cool.
And I almost got well, I got to look at like, oh, these are the things that are causing limitation.
Yeah.
And then I like moved into practical application in this of like, oh, it's because I've been putting my hands on certain things. These things are out of season, like just practical stuff that I could like review my life.
Yeah.
And there is something so freeing about it. So that is the question, is what is your message?
Yeah.
Like, what is the message of your life?
Yeah.
What does God put within you to put heaven on display with?
Yeah.
What about you? What do you feel like it is?
I didn't go into it as far as you have.
I had a couple of weeks early.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I've had a week. I want my life and just interactions with people. I want people to connect to him. I want people to be inspired to connect to him and live and like dwell with him. And the freedom that comes with that.
Yeah. The unity.
The freedom of not seeing anyone as good or bad or high or low, hierarchy, none of that stuff. And the freedom, I think that's it, to impart like, hey, he's like really good. He's really good. He's knocking at your door. Like, just invite him in and then let him do it. I just want people to see that and to connect to him. And that's just, speaking of like music too, and songs that impart things to you. So I've had, for some reason, music and worship has been a theme as of late. And it's never been that big of a topic for me or that big of a theme for me. But, and it's kind of cool, we have some worship music oriented people coming on here soon in different veins of it, which is another, I just thought about that. It's another aspect of the worship theme. There's something to it. But I had a couple nights ago, I had a dream. It was about Hoff. And we were in a big building and there was about probably 200 people in this building worshiping. Like the lights were off. It was like a concert kind of setting. There were windows all around the building on the top. You could see like the moonlight coming through and the worship was like super thick. And I remember like navigating and walking through this crowd and I was just looking at people's faces during this worship and I could see on their face that they were in heaven. I could see that they were like with him. And it hit me on this level. I could feel it, and I can feel it right now, like talking about it. It's the passion. It's that pure, like, passion that you can't handle, that breaks you, And I remember navigating and seeing that on all these people. And so the next day, and I was telling you, I met a friend, a buddy of mine, an old friend of mine afterwards. There was this big party and food and stuff. So that was interesting to me, going through and feeling that. And then I think it was the next day or two. I went through like a madman and invited all the people we want to invite on our show. And I felt inspired. I've been feeling inspired, like in the prophetic and just like revelation and stuff, to like really be intentional with that. And then this worship stuff pops off. And then I got fascinated with the history of like the area and these different people and stuff. I listened to Leonard Ravenhill. And then Keith Green, I was like, there's something about him. When I was a kid, I would hear his music in a particular part in my old church. There was a guy there that would listen to him all the time. And I remember back then feeling like, oh, this is so quirky sounding and cheesy, Hadn't listened to him since. And so I was probably like, I don't know, maybe 12 last time I heard it. I didn't care for his music. So I thought, like, well, let me do a deep dive on Keith Green. I just felt led to go into his music and listen to it. And I went on my little run, and I just put it on a playlist of his, and this song comes on called, I don't want to go too deep into this story. One of his songs came on, and it hit me hard. Just like that dream, to where like the threshold of like, you're about to just cry hit me, because I could feel it. And the lyrics, and I could feel it coming through him of like, this dude has a relationship with God and he experienced what he is singing. And the lyrics, oh my God, it's something like, like I've waken up, or like I've been asleep, or in a long, long dream, and it seems so real until your love broke through. The lyrics of the song is beautiful, but I could feel it. And I feel that music, that song in particular, like imparted something to me. It softened my heart to another level.
Mm-hmm.
And so just on that run and throughout the rest of the evening and stuff, I was on the threshold of just like that passion, you know? And that's just, it was the passion of God. It's the passion of it, and like the worship and kind of what that means, and nothing else matters besides his love for us. Like nothing else matters. So that's been the theme for me as of late. And it's like I'm exploring worship, that realm, and what that means, and it's really pleasant.
That's so
but
cool.
I'm sitting on this threshold, like my heart has been softened from it.
Mm-hmm. I feel like that about you and I were talking the other day of just like I was kind of in this funk a little bit. Not funk, just like this agitation, which I think agitation sometimes is good because it causes you to lean into something, right? And one of the things I was agitated about was like, why the flip do we just go every Sunday, sing the same songs, even though our church is dope, right?
Yeah.
Like, love the songs that we sing, love the messages that Daniel preaches, but almost the monotony of it, I was getting annoyed by.
Okay.
And I was just like, why? Like, what the flip, dude? Like, this doesn't feel like heaven.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like I'm engulfed.
Yeah.
And I was agitated by that. And I stumbled upon, in the Old Testament, they had to do all of these rituals and whatever. But it was about the grain offering, and they would bring it once a week, and they would like lay it on, and it would create an incense. And one of the things that the Lord showed me, which when I applied this, it was like, holy crap, this thing opened up for me.
Yeah.
But was taking, and like when we gather together on Sundays, right? So why did Paul even say like, don't neglect the gathering together? Yeah. Okay, well, why? But what I saw was everybody started to take things from the innermost being, from our secret place with God, the things that he's told us, the things that he's spoken over us, the things that he's cultivating within us. And we laid it on the fire. We laid it on the altar. It was just like our expression of thanksgiving. But when we did it collectively, it created this massive aroma. It created this massive bonfire that didn't just go out from the place that we were at into the streets. It did that, but it went all the way up into the worlds. And I started to see it was like transcending into the universe. And for me, that like lit me up. I was like, oh, what we're doing actually has purpose. Yeah. Because it's actually declaring the glory of God into different dimensions, into different realms, into the literal heavens, the different planets. And it just started to like, my mind just started to open up, and I wasn't on mushrooms. And
right.
But I started to see all this stuff, and I was like, that's why we have to do it collectively. Yeah. Because there is something that far greater is being impacted. Yeah. When we choose to have of one heart and of one mind and be of one spirit with one another. Yeah. Because that's really where we're all at, and that is worship, is like, we're all in unity. I'm in, like, just as Jesus is in the Father and we are in him and he's in us, so are we bound with our brethren. Yeah. We are all of one mind, of one body. And,
that's what it was like in that dream too. Really? Everybody's face, like we were all with him. Yeah, it was a collective. Yes. It's not just individuals having these spiritual experiences. No, you're connected to the heart of God as one. It is like the unity. It's the experience of unity there. Yeah. And I don't know, whenever it gets to that level, I promise you there will be healings in that 100%. Zone. Healings, things will break, like things will legitimately just pop off and happen.
Did you know I used to pray that almost every single week for years before church? Like, I would pray that the worship would captivate people so much that they would instantly be healed. Yeah. Like their faith could attach to what was already in the room.
Yeah. It will. When it's like that, the invitation to attach to that is so thick and just right there. that it will just happen. I believe it will just happen.
I think so too. And I think that it's available when people let their hearts go there.
It's the release of it, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All of it's the release, yeah.
Yeah. And I think that looks like a release of, whether that's your musicians, they're playing based on the fear of what they think is already happening around them, or trying to play constrained, or like they're not just open, they're not connecting in their own vein.
Yeah.
You know, I think that happens a lot with, especially church music. Everybody's just trying to get into their 20 minutes, and
sure,
which there is a place for honoring time, but like, I think God can do that.
Yeah.
In the midst of that. But I always go back to this in 2 Chronicles 5. It was about when they brought the ark into the temple.
Yeah.
To me, it's so beautiful. But it talks about, and it came to pass when the priest, this is in 11, but it came to pass when the priest came out of the most holy place, for all the priests who were present had sanctified themselves without keeping to their divisions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the Levites, who were the singers, with their sons and their brethren, they stood at the east end of the altar, clothed in white linen, your white shirt, having cymbals, stringed instruments and harps, and with them 120 priests sounding with trumpets. Indeed, it came to pass when the trumpeters and the singers were as one, to make one sound to be heard in praising and thanking the Lord. And when they lifted up their voice with the trumpets and cymbals and instruments of music and praise the Lord, saying, "For he is good, for his mercy endures forever," that the house of the Lord was filled with a cloud, so that the priests could not continue ministering because of the cloud. For the glory of the Lord filled the house of God.
Yeah.
And I was like, bro, that's where it's at.
That's it.
Like, we start to minister to the Lord, we bring all of this thanksgiving, and then he literally returns and comes and sits upon us. So we're not having to keep giving out to him. We're actually now receiving.
Yeah.
Because that's what he does.
Yeah, it's this perpetual glory, unity.
Yeah. Like, we release, and I love that. But it was like that the cloud came so the priest could not continue ministering.
Yeah.
To me, I was just seeing it as like people were clothed in love.
Yeah.
They felt the delight of God upon them. They felt the covering of God. They never felt alone in it. And I feel like that's the invitation that worship has.
Yeah.
Is to connect into that you're not separated.
Yeah.
It's not just, hey, God, I'm giving you these things. It's like, yo, I'm releasing all of this.
Yeah. Because
you've already been with me all week. And I'm thanking you for how you've already covered us this week.
Yeah.
You know? But anyways, it's just beautiful, man.
It is.
And to think about how much worship is, we have only scratched the surface.
I know it.
Whether that's like creative music, creative sounds, creative flavors. Because I don't think that, it's a one size fits all or whatever. But there is something way different when the Lord comes in, riding on the melodies.
Yeah.
You can feel a shift in the room. You can feel a shift. And I think sometimes that's just aligning to what his agenda is for the day.
Yeah.
But I also think it starts in the secret place.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because if you haven't cultivated that level of transparency and openness in the secret place, you can't do that with your brethren.
Yeah.
Then it feels awkward and people are always looking around. And, oh, this is just a small rant.
Nope, go ahead.
This is the one thing that I would love to see a shift in. Have you ever noticed, and maybe just because I was brought up in a Baptist church and so everybody took direction from what the pastor was doing?
Yeah.
But like, so many people look to the leadership of the church for how to respond in worship. And they almost take cues from those people. If the pastor's standing, then they'll stand. If the pastor's sitting, then they'll sit.
Oh, okay.
I've just seen it all my life. I don't know. But I think it's fascinating when people let themselves go.
Yeah.
And just actually fully worship.
Yeah.
And like, it doesn't matter what anybody's doing around you. Like, the fear of man has completely been dismantled. That even the most timid or the one who has not had the experience of just being able to worship however they want to worship. Like that invitation, it feels so soft in the room that people just, they get sucked in, you know? And it's no longer about looking to anybody, you know, leadership or whatever else. Because I feel like that's just weird. But I see people do it. You know, like how the worship leader is. Like people mimic what they're watching from the leader, from the vocalist. And it's like, man, let's go on. Let's go beyond that. Let's venture out and let ourselves wade into the deep waters of just connecting to him. If that means you have to close your eyes, by God, go close your eyes.
Yeah. I've been feeling that too. I've been feeling that not just like with worship, but this definitely applies to worship. With, I mean, just creativity, art, life itself. This like breaking out of a shell.
Yeah.
And it's easy to be like stuck in it, but I see people breaking out of the shell and like it's this incredible release and then this explosion of expression. I mean like a violent explosion of expression and light. And it's worth it. It's so worth it to let yourself go. There's no, don't keep it locked up.
Yeah.
You know, we're here to express it to the fullest extent, to the fullest that we're able to release. I don't know, man.
What if you let yourself experience the fullness of every emotion every day?
Yeah.
Not getting whipped by it, but being present with it, not trying to shut down joy.
Yeah.
Not trying to shut down peace.
Yeah.
Because I think some people sabotage themselves. Like if they're being led towards peace, they're like, oh, that doesn't feel familiar. I got to go over here.
Yeah.
But even, you know, the fullness of anger, like standing with it, like, whoa, here it is. It's coming off. Because I think if you can experience the fullness of anger, you can have the fullness of joy.
Yeah.
Like, because they're emotions, they like, I don't know, I've seen just even in my own person, how often you can shut your emotions down.
Yeah.
And I know for people who are like big feelers, that almost feels like you're going to get whipped. Like Zach has that, like that. I've never met somebody who is such an empath. That dude could feel, he feels the depths of everything.
Yeah.
So I'm like, dude, stop feeling.
Yeah.
That's my own trauma. But he's able, like, as he has grown and he can navigate those things, it's like a freaking sword.
Yeah. 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 It's to be wielded.
Yeah. But he's like unlocked. He's unlocked in his depths because he he feels. And it's like, dude.
Yep.
I think it's easier to feel a lot and be able to wield it than to feel nothing and try and find a feeling.
Yeah.
Anyways, because there is something to that of tapping into the emotions of God.
Yeah.
He created them.
I know it.
Passion.
Yeah. And there's like it's available. Even if you don't feel like it, it's available. And I've been doing this. I would encourage anybody listening to this to go meditate on what it feels like to be freely and fully passionate. And just connect to him on it, like to soften your heart to where you can feel, you know? If that's the case, I don't know, meditate on that unbridled freedom of expression in whatever vein or direction that looks like.
Totally, man. I think there is something so brilliant about tapping into that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because when you're passionate, you have to allow yourself to be affected by God.
Yeah. That's right.
You have to allow the influence of him and his voice into you. Like you have to be that soft. I think you have to be that surrendered.
Yeah.
You know, like, because most people think surrendered is such a bad word, like you're going to get whipped by something, but really like you're allowing yourself to be subject to the goodness of God.
Yeah, that's right.
Is truly what it is.
Yeah, and it is freedom. Oh, I wrote down something, made me think of freedom. Sorry.
No, I like it.
I don't know why I wrote this down, but it made sense to me. It was an interesting way to look at things. It's one of those, this could go both ways.
Super negative. I'm just kidding.
No. But if it's not, the whole, the truth will set you free. If it's not truth, it won't set you free. If it doesn't set you free, it's not truth. And I haven't even fully sat on that for a little while, but just think about that.
Dude, say that one more time. Say it slow.
I lost it. If it's not truth, it won't set you free. If it doesn't set you free, then it's not truth.
So good, man.
And I don't even if it's not true freedom, it's not the truth. But freedom is that release is freedom.
Mm-hmm. And it's hopeful.
Surrender is freedom.
Mm-hmm. That reminds me of something that happened last night. Like I felt the Lord kind of snap some pressure off of me that I didn't even realize I was carrying. But I was kind of thinking through like trials and things that people go through and the promotions that come out of those. And, I realized I held a lie that once I've perfected my response, that is needed in a situation. So like if I responded perfectly in love, only then do I be promoted or advanced or moved up.
Yeah.
So it has to be in my ability to respond correctly.
Okay.
Yeah. Which I don't know if anybody else feels like that, but it's very behavioral driven.
Yeah.
Like advancement comes when you've done this right.
Yeah. Interesting.
Well, when you think in terms of your ability to grow is based on your behavior, I mean, it kind of makes sense, but the Lord told me that's a lie that you carry. And he said, the truth is the key to unlocking any door is knowing me in the situation. For this holds the key. I hold the key in anything to be unlocked. And I was just like, that's it. Every situation or trial or dynamic that we find ourselves, it's not in our ability to respond, it's our ability to connect.
Yeah.
It's about in connection to him of like, so for example, we kind of had this it was very simple, but turned into like major drama in my family. But about a birthday party that I was planning.
Oh, wow.
Well, everybody had different ideas of what the party should be and then tried to then enact all the ideas.
Okay.
And I was just like, hey, that's not, mind you, it was not being communicated to me. It was being communicated behind my back.
Okay. Wow.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
But I confronted it and I was just like, hey, we're not doing that. This is what I'm planning. This is what we're doing.
Yeah.
If you want or throw out suggestions, I'm open to it, but do it to me, right? Well, then there was a lot of a kickback from that.
Yeah.
And I didn't respond in the most gentle way in the world.
Sure.
I kind of snapped and I was just like, no, that's just not what we're doing. And I was feeling this guilt of like, dang, I could have been better in that situation. Yeah. I don't know if anybody else, do you ever feel like that?
Yeah.
Like, dang, I could have done that better.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a heaping shame, just kind of like, be better, Marlia.
Yeah.
But that's where the Lord was like, hey, this isn't about your behavior.
Yeah.
This is about connecting to me in this.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah. And he the Lord was so gentle. He was like, that's the best you've ever done in communicating.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, dagnabbit, he's right.
That's cool.
That was the best I've ever done.
Yeah.
I was cool for 96% of the time, which normally I wouldn't have been.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was just like this moment where I could feel that he was proud of me.
Yeah.
Based on that.
Well, then that feels like a tangible moment, a tangible victory. So the next time it comes up,
Oh yeah, I literally felt my person expand.
It's discipline, yeah.
It was just cool. It was so cool. But just what you're saying of if it doesn't set you free, then it's not true.
Yeah.
It's like, well, what the lie that I was believing, that wasn't freedom. That didn't feel like freedom. That felt like behavior modification.
Yeah.
Fix your behavior. Be better in your behavior. And then you'll be promoted.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting.
Anyways.
And going back to the surrender thing, maybe this is a little grid that I've had before too, but whenever you hear that phrase, you think of surrender as like, all right, I've been out here in somewhat of a freedom and I just mess up everything. But for me to surrender to the Lord is me, okay, let me enter into this cage or this house or whatever that looks like. Let me turn myself over. But I think more so, it's like, here, let me surrender these chains that are on me, or let me surrender this box that I'm in for him to unshackle it.
Yeah. A mindset that you're carrying.
Yeah, it's not what it maybe feels like or seems like. Because a lot of times surrender is like, all right, I lost. Like,
wave the white flag,
give up, which in a sense, there is the version of giving up. It's just a different way of what it really is. Mm-hmm. It's like, what form of surrender is freedom? Like we're talking about, the truth will set you free. It's the type of surrender that results in freedom.
Yeah, man.
Not bondage.
I've heard this from so many people, especially people who've just starting to come around to the Lord, and like, it's that concept of surrender that is so hard. They're like, I don't know how.
How, yeah.
It's that always gets thrown out of. I don't know what that means. I don't know how. Mm-hmm. And something that I think is a beautiful portion is like, it's not about the how. Mm-hmm. It's about the
decision.
The decision of like, hey, I'm just not, this perception.
Yeah.
I'm open to it.
Yeah. Yes, that's it.
That's all it is. It's like, hey, I'm open to another perspective.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm open to anything you want to say.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know how, but do it.
That's not it's not about how you do anything.
Yeah.
It's not about your works. It's actually about your ability to say, hey, I'm just open. Yeah. I'm open. You had to be open.
That is surrender. Yeah.
Yeah. But you had to be open to come to the Lord.
Yep.
There was a portion of you that had to be like, okay, what I'm doing is not working.
Yeah.
So here I am. I think it's a lie and a trap that gets people swallowed up into something else.
Yeah.
Because it's all based on works.
Yep.
Right? Like, well, how do I surrender? Well, that's based on your...
Yeah. The grid. Yeah.
Yeah, on your ability to surrender, not on his ability to show up.
Yeah.
And I think the only thing, quote unquote, surrender looks like is just, and I'm going to say it 400 more times, I think, is just like, hey, I'm open.
Yeah. It is as easy as that. Mm-hmm. It is. He made it that easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody can do it. Yeah.
It's the simple thing about changing your mind. Right? That's what repentance is.
Yeah.
Things are far more simple than we realize.
Yeah, they are.
But
it's good.
Yeah. Well, do you have anything that you feel like is a tangible thing that people can take away or roll with from here? Or any word of encouragement or?
For my past week or few days, feeling that level from him of just the love, like nothing else matters. I just would encourage anybody listening to this to ask him for that, like soften your heart and let him feel what really matters. Mm-hmm. And just kind of dance around and flirt with freedom, like meditate on it and think about it.
What would your body feel like if you were totally free? Like, what would be the sensations in your body if you had zero pressure in the world, if you had zero hang-ups of like even the daily to-dos, right? Or the quote-unquote disciplines. Like, what does that look like if you were 100% free from anything?
Yeah.
Like, what would you think about? What would your thoughts be consumed on?
Yeah.
What would be the sensation in your body? Would your day look different?
Mm-hmm. And I think the release of everything, every single thing is pure. It's just him. It's like when you wake up, it's him. And I don't know. And it's just pure bliss.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Dance around it though. Like, allow that, invite that, ask for it, to experience that or to taste it or whatever it looks like.
Yeah, the passion of God.
The passion and the freedom of it, yeah. Anyways.
So good.
Yeah. And I bet this is gonna develop too with some of the guests that we have.
Oh, no doubt.
This will be this will be the series.
Series of worship.
But it's funny because it's just fallen into place. We didn't like, hey, let's get a bunch of worship people together, but it looks like
how guests are lining up.
How they're lined up, yeah.
You know, I don't know. I felt this, so I'm going to just pitch it out there. But I felt to just encourage people that you're more free than you realize.
Mm-hmm.
You're not as chained to things like you think. And I felt like there's almost that trap of like trying to convince you that you're not free.
Yeah.
So don't believe it.
Mm.
You are already free.
Yeah.
You are already free. And if there is anything that is of a lie, the Lord will show you in his time. But it is far greater to just stand on the hope and the belief that you are free.
Yeah.
Because he already set us free.
Yeah.
I think it's just dismantling the strongholds of lies.
Yeah.
And
I saw something for someone too. But just as you were talking, I saw a forest, and there was a path that had been cleared out in that forest. And I felt like somebody listening to this has a decision to make. But there's an opportunity of either go the conventional safe route, but I feel like the Lord has paved a way in the wilderness for you, and to take a chance on that. Then I feel like you'll know what it is. I feel like it may feel unsafe or unsteady, but that's another aspect of release and freedom, something that he has for you.
So I heard this the other day, or we were talking about this at our girls group, but when people release prophetic words and they're like, hey, I feel like this is for somebody, and somebody thinks in their heart, oh, I really hope that's for me.
Yeah.
Believe that it is for you and attach your faith to it. Because sometimes words are not just for one person. They actually can be applied to multiple people. Yeah. And it's almost like the sower who scatters seeds. Yeah. If that seed is sown towards you and you actually are hoping that that's yours, grab it because it is, and cultivate it. Like, let it land on good soil. Yeah. Because I felt that when you were sharing that, I was like, oh, that's for multiple people. Yeah. So. Yeah, claim it. If it's yours, attach claim it. Yes. Yeah. Because the reason that you can say like, hey, that one's mine is because it just sparked something within you. Yeah. It sparked like. Pulled at you. Yeah. Yeah. It felt like a pull. Yeah. So come into agreement with the pull. That's it. Cool. All right. Well, we're excited about these new guests too. Oh, yeah. This is going to be, 2023 is going to be a fire year, man. Yeah, it is. We said that from the beginning. It doesn't feel like it's already been. It's just like the beginning of the year. We had like guests lined up, and we're like, wow, we're hitting the ground running. Yeah. It's like, yeah. It's cool. It's going, yeah. All right, guys. Well, we'll see you all next time. If you enjoyed this episode of the Ancient Way podcast, drop us a like, share with your friends, share with your family. And if you would like to support us and what we are doing, and you would like to play a direct role in our growth and things that we do in the future, we have a donation spot at the bottom of our show notes. So you can click on that, give however much you want. We appreciate absolutely everything. We appreciate our listeners. And everybody that's already come alongside and encouraged us, and even everybody that's been on our show. So thanks, guys.